Tonight, 3 charged with major drug trafficking in Port Augusta. And a Snowtown killer maintains he's being mistreated.
From our 7 Spencer Golf studios, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. A Whyalla man will face court on drug trafficking charges after police seized a significant haul of cannabis yesterday. 23 plants and 6 kilograms of dried product allegedly uncovered, along with various drug-related equipment.
A significant victory for police here in Whyalla. This haul of cannabis is off the streets following a raid early yesterday morning.
People often focus at the moment on methamphetamine, but the reality is alcohol and cannabis also does a lot of harm on the communities.
Police swooped on the Whyalla property just after 12:30 after receiving a tip-off. 23 plants and around 6 kilos of product were allegedly seized during the raid, along with various other equipment. Seeds, even needles filled with a type of cannabis product were found during the raid. Inspector Hubbard says the haul suggests this was a commercial operation.
Police will be alleging that the cannabis was being commercially grown. 23 cannabis plants and 6 kilograms of dried cannabis is a lot for one person to suggest they were using for themselves.
A 55-year-old man from Whyalla was arrested and charged with trafficking a controlled drug and cultivating a commercial quantity of a controlled drug. He was bailed and is expected to appear in the Whyalla Magistrates Court on May the 20th. The arrest came about as a result of Crime Stoppers. Inspector Hubbard is encouraging people who see or smell something to ring them. He says the fight relies on residents alerting them to something suspicious.
The public are instrumental in just about everything that we do. Smell cannabis in a backyard of a friend or a neighbour, would encourage you to call Crime Stoppers.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Golf News.
2 men and a woman have been arrested in Port Augusta after police seized what's alleged to be a large quantity of illicit drugs. Authorities stopped a vehicle on Victoria Parade at around 3 a.m. today. A search of the vehicle uncovered a large amount of crystallised substance, as well as a quantity of steroids and drug paraphernalia. A 32-year-old man from Paraka, a 29-year-old man from Adelaide and a 26-year-old woman from Paravista have all been charged with drug trafficking. They've been refused police bail and will face court at a later date. A woman has been charged after allegedly abducting a 2-year-old child in Broken Hill. She's accused of taking the child from a Pell Street house around 4 o'clock Monday morning. Police say they were alerted when the mother woke up and discovered her child was missing. Just before 5 a.m, police say the alleged kidnapper returned the child. A 32-year-old woman has been arrested and denied bail. Police believe the women are known to each other. Snowtown serial killer Joe Wagner has compared himself to other mass murderers during his court appearance. The 47-year-old told court on Monday that killers, including James Miller and Bevan Van Idem, had been granted non-parole periods. Wagner is serving 10 consecutive life sentences for his role in the infamous Snowtown murders. Lawyer Noah Redmond read a statement on behalf of the victims' families, saying they do not believe he has reformed, rehabilitated or demonstrated remorse. The judge will hand down his decision at a later date. Broken Hill's local councillors look set to be in for a long night when they hold their monthly meeting tomorrow. A number of major items are on the agenda, including a recent funding boost provided by the Wentworth Pipeline.
Plenty on the agenda, councillors will be busy. One item sure to prick up the gallery's ears, council's receiving of over $6 million after carrying out soil removal for the new Wentworth pipeline.
It's a win for Broken Hill, and hopefully council spends that in a manner that does benefit Broken Hill greatly. I was pleased to hear that it is in restricted reserves.
It's believed the money could go towards council's development of a cultural hub in the city's CBD. From multi-millions to a sporting subsidy initiative, tomorrow councillors will also vote on establishing the Sports Voucher pilot program. It's an initiative aimed at getting school-aged children in Broken Hill to play sport. Under the program, eligible kids would receive a $50 voucher to help them get involved with a local sporting body. Mr Kennedy says it's a good way of continuing Broken Hill's proud history of sporting stars.
And if we don't continue to promote that junior aspect of sporting, what will happen is it'll continue to drop off and eventually sport won't be practical in Broken Hill.
Council will also vote on whether or not to expand its alcohol-free zone around the CBD. There's a proposal to take in Wills, Gibson and Gaffney streets, as well as South Road and Crystal Street. Mr Kennedy says there needs to be real reasons to why it should be done.
And real reasons for why the community believes it should be done. It's not just a matter of it makes it easier for policing or it makes it easier for council. It has to be a real benefit to the community.
Council meets tomorrow night at 6:30 at the local council chambers. Patrick Ryankey, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
As vote counting for the New South Wales state election continues, the shooters, fishers and farmers look set to gain the seat of BARWON. With over 70% of the votes counted, shooters candidate Roy Butler leads the Nationals' Andrew Scheer in two-party preferred. Mr Butler's swing has decreased slightly from yesterday, currently holding around 19%. In first preferences, Mr Butler has 33% of votes, beating Mr Scheer on 30. Broken Hill Mayor and Labor candidate Daria Turley has seen a 2% increase from yesterday. She holds third spot. There's still more than 25% of votes to be tallied. Mayors of the Spencer Gulf cities have joined forces to announce their wish list ahead of the federal election. The trio hoping to raise priorities with politicians when they travel to Canberra next month.
Leading the charge for the growth of the Upper Spencer Gulf, the leaders of Port Pirie, Whyalla and Port Augusta, a united voice, hoping to reach the ears of Canberra leaders.
We you might like to call it, hunt together when we go talk to our politicians.
The Spencer Gulf cities outlining priorities for the upcoming federal election, likely to be held in May.
When we sit and talk together, we do realise that our issues aren't unique to one town, so they are amongst the three of us.
Key issues including improving transport infrastructure,
Ports, rail, networks and all that sort of stuff.
Improving education to help grow a skilled local workforce.
To use our own local guys, that's got to be the priority.
As well as new ways to increase the population of the cities, such as a migration policy which would be tailored to fit the skills shortages in the Spencer Gulf.
Sometimes we just don't have enough electricians on the ground or so forth, so we'll look at bringing in people from outside the country.
The push from the three mayors has gained support from Regional Development Australia, which says the emergence of the region as one of the renewable capitals of the country may give weight to many of the requests.
It's important that these cities do grow because they service the broader hinterlands.
The mayors will travel to Canberra next month to meet with politicians from all sides of government for the regional summit.
So that we can get our message across to make sure that when our growth opportunities are there, they fully understand what we require.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, teachers and students swapping roles to learn more about Indigenous culture, and thousands raised for charity as horse riders finish a 250-kilometre journey, all in the name of mental health awareness. Welcome back. Broken Hill's newest teachers have received an insight into Aboriginal culture in the Far West region. The local educators visiting a number of sacred sites belonging to the Willikali people.
An eye-opening class which organisers say is vital.
It was a necessity for our beginning teachers who are coming out to our remote and rural communities with a high population of Aboriginal students.
Over the past 2 days, new teachers in Broken Hill's schooling system have taken part in this cultural program. Its purpose to provide perspective to educators new to the area by emphasising the place of Aboriginal culture and heritage. It enables them to develop a more productive rapport between Aboriginal students, their families and the community.
Have a sense of belonging at school, that that they feel safe and that they're there to learn the Western style of learning.
After a brief talk in the classroom this morning, teachers were taken to a number of sites belonging to the Willikali people, the Mundi Plains, the Pinnacles and the Living Desert. It teaches them about local storylines, the history of the Willikali people, personal journeys and even the impact of government policies. The program has been running for the past 4 years and Miss Clark believes there should be more across the country.
And it's got them to think outside the square of our Aboriginal kids were taught about their culture that took place, out on country.
Miss Clark says funding for the program is in danger of being cut and is too important to be dissolved.
It's great for them to be able to come out and fit in with our communities and, develop those relationships.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Warrabra's old school is now for sale following its closure in 2017. The town hoping to draw in an interested buyer to preserve its 138-year history.
The closure of Warrabra Primary in 2017 marked the end of 138 years of education. And now the empty school has found itself up for sale, ready to start its next chapter.
They put it on the market, advertised for February, and the expression of interest closed last Friday, the 22nd of March. So community's sort of waiting to hear if there's an outcome.
Since its closure, the town has nervously watched on. Community groups have explored options of buying the school, but the asking price has been marked as too high.
Something would have had to be established that would bring in money to be able to cover those costs, and as a community we weren't able to come up with anything or the funds.
The nearby town of Port Germain underwent a similar crisis when its school of 144 years closed its doors.
Once you take away these buildings and everything, you've got nothing left of your history. It is really important.
Its local Progress Association was able to collect enough money to purchase the school. However, the group's assistant secretary believes in hindsight it mightn't have been the best idea.
I guess we haven't realised just what it entails to own a school. It's not just a matter of buying the school from the government.
Remnants of the old school has been stretched out through the community. The old bell has found a new home here at the Warrabra Market.
People are passionate about this site and the community itself, and they don't want to see it go to wreck and ruin.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Labor's only regional MP fears country areas will be left disadvantaged if SA Pathology is privatised. The service is responsible for providing clinical services throughout the state. The government says it'll consider the move unless the organisation can make significant savings. Member for Giles, Eddie Hughes, says it'll hit regional patients the hardest.
These larger private pathology companies will probably send that work off interstate, and that causes delays.
The Australian Medical Association has also voiced its concerns, with State President William Tan calling the idea a weird experiment. Farmers from across the Mid-North have gathered in Jamestown for its 2019 It's You Time Forum. A number of keynote speakers taking to the stage, informing locals about the impact drought is having on sheep meat supply in 2019. Farmers were offered a number of alternatives into how to maximise ewe performance.
Supporting wool producers, sheep growers to respond as best they can to seasonal conditions and look to the upcoming season.
The event also aimed at providing take-home tips for sheep profitability and productivity. The annual Cummins Trek has raised more than $25,000 for charity, with riders wrapping up their 5-day journey in Port Lincoln on the weekend. 10 riders pushing through 250 kilometres in an attempt to raise funds and awareness of mental health issues.
A final cheer to end the journey. 10 riders and 25 support crew taking part in the Cummins Trek, which has been running since 2012. This year's ride focusing on raising awareness for mentally fit EP.
Just to create the awareness gives them a little bit more sense of relief so that they know that it's not such a taboo subject to talk about.
The trek started in Cow, riding south to Port Neal, the group stopping at the local primary school, speaking with students about mental health.
Sometimes in regional areas it's a bit more amplified because we're a lot more connected, but also because there are less services around.
15-year-old Pearl Desert joining this year's ride.
It's been a pretty big physical and emotional investment, more than I ever thought it would be.
Some riders sharing their own history of the challenges with mental health issues.
In 2016, I lost my little brother to suicide. Doing something like this, positive for mental health, is a good way to put a bit of closure on that.
The team arriving in Port Lincoln on Sunday with riders and horses having a well-deserved break.
Any one of these amazing people that have been in the saddle or on a support crew, they'll tell you it's been a great experience.
If you or someone you know needs help, you can contact Mentally Fit EP on Facebook or call Lifeline. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break, a wrap-up of all the local sport, and Nicole will join us with all the latest weather details. Welcome back. Now turning to the latest sport around the region, and it was the prelims last week with tennis, basketball and softball played throughout the peninsula. Nathan joins us now, and Port Lincoln's golfing season is coming to a close after Saturday's competition.
Well, that's right, Louise. Saturday saw over 95 eager golfers take over the Port Lincoln golf course in one of the last matches for the season. Coming back to the field after recovering from an injury saw Steve Sims score the win with 52. Sean Thomas and Ben White 2 points below and 50, coming runners-up. Janet Whittaker continued Thursday's good form to win the women's competition with 39. Cynthia Thompson coming runner-up. Around the region now, and we'll head to Port Pirie's preliminary finals for tennis, which saw an easy victory for Trinity Gold, beating United Blues 5 sets, 30 games to 0 sets and 6 games. In doubles, Napperby won against Trinity Red by just 1. Switching to basketball now, and it was prelim final weekend in Port Augusta. In the men's, the Eagles are through to the grand final, a 13-point victory against Cobras, 54-41. Eagles will battle it out against Wildcats in this weekend's grand final. Moving down towards Whyalla, and the softball semis were held on Sunday. Fast batting and running saw an easy win for Tigers over the Indians, 17 runs to 7, while the Roadrunners defeated the Eagles. Well, as you can tell, Louise, sporting teams all across the region are preparing to give it their all in the weekend's grand finals. Should be a great few days of sport.
Now let's take a look at the weather. Here's Nicole.
Thanks, Louise. Another mild day today. Port Augusta reached a max of 23, Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Broken Hill all 21 degrees, Port Pirie 24, Adelaide 21. A high pressure system will become established south of the Bight later tonight, moving east to be centred over the Tasman tomorrow. On the waters, southerly winds tending southwesterly at 10 knots, swells at 1.5 metres, and the sun will rise at 7:26. It will warm up slightly over most parts tomorrow. Port Augusta back up to 27 degrees, Whyalla sunny and 25, Port Lincoln fine and 23, Coffin Bay 21, Woodner and Corn both sunny and 26, Broken Hill 24, Port Pirie 27, Clare 24, Cleve 23, Kadina 25 and Adelaide 23. Looking further ahead to the end of the week now, Thursday sunny at Port Lincoln, a top of 24 degrees. Showers expected on Friday ahead of a cloudy start to the weekend. Cleve sunny and 26 on Thursday, cloudy Friday and Saturday. Woodner sunny on Thursday, cloudy towards the end of the week. Whyalla looking sunny on Thursday, warming up to 28 degrees, fine on Friday and Saturday. Port Augusta much the same, 29 on Thursday, a top of 25 on Friday. Kadina 27 on Thursday and showers expected on Friday. Port Pirie sunny and 29 on Thursday, Friday showers and 24, fine on Saturday. Clare sunny on Thursday, showers expected on Friday, and sunny days ahead for Broken Hill, 28 Thursday and Friday, fine and 21 on Saturday. And that's it from me, Louise. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Nicole, and that's your local news this Tuesday. We thank you for joining us tonight. We'll have updates again later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.